automotive content on Team VVV, sponsored by Bold Group.
Hi guys, Martin here with a look at the new PS4 version of MXGP. We've seen lots of definitive versions and remastered re-releases of old games lately, and MXGP is the latest to follow the trend, featuring extra tracks, improved graphics and, perhaps most importantly of all, alternating controller-like colours that sync with the revs of your bike. Anyway, the main draw for this version are the 4 new tracks that were previously absent in the original game, with new locations set in Italy, Bulgaria, Czech Republic and the Netherlands, thus completing the official calendar. We'll be taking a look at them in all in due course, but what you're seeing here is a run on the new Italian track. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce it though, as Milestone, the developers, are Italian and will probably make fun of me. I think it's certainly one of the better looking new courses though, with its dense forests and mountain backdrops. Although admittedly they do pale in comparison to Drive Club, which we've been playing at the moment as well. It's also a shame, I think, really, that the extra tracks couldn't have been released as DLC for existing owners on the other formats, but there we are. Straight away you can see the vast visual improvements compared to the PS3 version of MXGP. In fact, the bike and rider textures are said to have 4 times the detail, and you can really see the difference up close. They just look a lot sharper. Really though, it's the new advanced lighting that makes the biggest difference here. It's the same Ibis 2 lighting engine lifted from MotoGP 14. It gives everything a much more natural and realistic sheen. The crowds are also now 3D and animated. That may not sound particularly revolutionary, but then they were static before. On the whole though, I would say track detail is still a bit lacking for a next-gen release, and the rider animations in particular leave a lot to be desired when you inevitably fall off your bike, as you'll probably see me do a lot in this video. Now, we were hoping to see MXGP run at 60 frames on the PS4. In fact, the build that Alan played at Gamescom in the previous video was running at a solid 60 frames at the time. But the final version you see here has been locked to 30 frames, which is a bit disappointing. You may remember it was the same case for MotoGP 14 on PS4 as well. Nevertheless though, it is still a solid frame rate, although I did notice some occasional slowdown in replays. You do notice the difference though with the PC version, which of course is unrestricted in its frame rate. It does make a difference in the fluidity of the controls. The upside to this though is a noticeable increase in the number of AI opponents. We've gone from 16 on PC and console, and even as little as 10 on the Vita version, to 22 on the new PS4 game. And it makes a considerable difference on track. The races feel more packed, intense, and representative of the real World Championship. In terms of the audio design, Milestone has said they've improved it as well, but I must admit I haven't really noticed much difference so far. The environmental effects are perhaps a bit more pronounced, but overall it still sounds too sparse and lacks atmosphere. It's a shame there isn't an option to have some background music during the races too, just to liven it up a bit. The physics, I would say, they do feel a bit more refined. The controls are definitely more fluid and responsive now. This was played on the medium difficulty setting too, so I'm having to use the dual stick controls to balance the bike and rider's weight simultaneously. It's very satisfying when you get the balance just right and lean the rider into a tight turn, and then speed out of the corner. Although you've probably seen me make a hash of things quite a few times in this video, but in my defence it was an early go. Then there's the track deformation. That was of course one of the game's standout features before, and it definitely feels more natural now, thanks to the enhanced physics. But I'd say it doesn't look that much better. You can still see the bike sort of riding through it unnaturally. One of my main criticisms with the original game was the AI, which didn't present much of a challenge before. Again, Master have said they've tweaked it for the new PS4 version, and they do seem a little tougher now. You can see they're keeping ahead in my playthrough quite well, although that might just be down to my inept riding skills. At least you can also see them make mistakes and take a tumble from time to time though. Overall, the PS4 version of MXGP does still have its flaws, but overall it's a more polished package for fans of the original game. We'll be taking a look at all the remaining new tracks in MXGP on PS4 soon, but in the meantime you can check out our written review on the Team VVV website.